Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from relationship advice. Our first post is by Throwaway. My 23F boyfriend 25M thinks my dad's 59M gifts are creepy. Red flag: every year for Valentine's Day my dad 59M gives and sends me 23F flowers and a box of chocolate. He has done this every year since I've been old enough to remember. He'd always give them to me when I was little. When I went to college and beyond, he has them delivered to me. It's just a tradition for us. I think it's sweet. I grew up in a really tight-knit, close family. I started dating my boyfriend Mark, 25M, a little over a year ago. Last Valentine's Day I got the usual delivery from my dad. Mark saw and said, "Oh, your dad sent you those? Oh, okay," and that was it. Fast forward to this year. Last night, Mark and I were discussing our Valentine's Day plans for this year, like what restaurant should we go to, and he made a passing comment about hoping I don't get any creepy gifts in the mail this year. I was confused and asked him what he meant, and he said, "You know how you got that stuff from your dad last year. It's creepy for a dad to be sending his adult daughter Valentine's Day gifts." I was taken aback because it's not like my dad sent me lingerie or something. It was just flowers and some chocolate. I tried explaining to Mark that this is a tradition I have always shared with my dad. He stands firm that it's creepy and weird, and he said he asked his friends and they thought it was weird too. I tried to let it go, but it has been bothering me. 1. I have never heard these kinds of negative comments from Mark before, and am not sure whether it's a red flag. I have never been in a serious relationship before, and am still figuring it all out. 2. When my dad's delivery comes this month, I don't want Mark to feel uncomfortable. 3. Is it actually creepy for my dad to be sending this stuff? I have never found it so, but would like to hear other perspectives. Thanks. Our next post is an update by Throwaway. My husband, M39, has thrown me, F27, under the bus to his family with his silence and complete lack of a spine. How do I salvage this? I want to start by thanking those who were so kind. Your words of encouragement and advice were greatly appreciated. Here is my update. Apparently, after I left my husband's house, my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law accused me of cheating. I'd already begun speaking with a lawyer after Owen refused to tell the truth to his family, but knowing he let them tell other people I cheated is like getting punched in the chest. I'm now renting a nice 2-bedroom apartment. My siblings and their partners have helped me furnish it, and my top priority is ensuring my baby has everything she needs. Currently, I'm working to create a cozy nursery for her, and hiring a nanny. Facing the end of my marriage is terrifying, but I'm learning to accept my new reality. When I notified Owen I was going to file for divorce, he started calling and messaging non-stop. His messages range from begging me to come home, telling me he will tell the truth and get therapy again, begging to see our baby, and then threatening to drag me home. I told him the divorce was happening whether he liked it or not because he failed as a husband and failed even worse as a parent. He then sent photos and videos of my things in the garbage, and him and my brother-in-law trashing the nursery. His exact words, "I don't need it anymore." In the most disturbing video, he threw our baby's car seat in a dumpster. I do not recognize him or his behavior anymore. He claims to miss his daughter and me, but is trying to make his behavior my fault for not doing what I'm told. This is not the man I agreed to marry. The man I married was smart, kind, gentle, thoughtful, and funny, but this vileness from him was waiting for me the moment I didn't obey and take the disrespect from his family to save him from the humiliation of his infertility. Before the fallout with his mother, he was nothing like this. It's certainly not an excuse, but I believe it all centered on him feeling emasculated and humiliated by his family. I just can't believe he couldn't at least stand up to his family for me and our baby, the one he said he would die for. I am not blocking Owen as my lawyer said to email everything he says to me to him, but the constant threatening messages make me scared to leave my home. Owen knows where I work and has repeatedly told me he will drag us back if that's what it takes, and that I'm making him do this. My lawyer and I are working on a restraining order, but every woman who was attacked by her ex-husband knows restraining orders don't keep you safe. However, things took a turn when my father-in-law showed up on my parents' doorstep, and it's the reason I decided to update. My father-in-law asked to speak with me. My parents told him they would call me and ask, but if I said no, then that was final and he would not be welcomed back. I only agreed to speak to father-in-law because he told my parents he was there to apologize for his family and set the record straight. My dad called me as my father-in-law was blocked from calling me, and when I picked up, my father-in-law immediately apologized for his wife's behavior. He wanted to hear my side of the story, as he did not believe I cheated. I thanked him. I was never close to father-in-law, but we've always been civil, and let him know, of course, I did not cheat. I told him of his son's infertility, and that Owen proposed we get a donor. I told him very clearly it was his son's decision, and that because my father-in-law and his family put blood as the only valid form of family, my husband made me lie so our child would be treated equally. After I finished, my father-in-law seemed stunned. He was quiet for a while, then asked if his wife and son could come over and see my daughter in person as they missed us and were ready to be a family again, but I told him no. Father-in-law then asked if there was anything Owen could do to fix the marriage, and I again told him no. My father-in-law tried to say I was being unfair, but my dad stepped in and said father-in-law was overstaying his welcome. Before I hung up, I told father-in-law that his son was sending me abusive messages daily, and if he truly was sorry, then he should make his son stop. Then I hung up. My parents said my father-in-law was irritated that I did not respectfully say goodbye or give Owen a chance to save his marriage, but left with little fuss after my parents laid into him about raising his swine of a son to threaten his wife and child. Our next post is by Deleted. My husband, M47, won't let me, F35, have a pet because of his grandfather clause. How can we agree on this? I'd like to preface by saying we are happily married and have no other problems like this. My husband got a dog, Kira, a month after we met a few years ago. So Kira has been with us for almost our entire relationship. I love dogs, love having pets, and while she's not the breed I would have chosen, she's an absolute sweetie and we have lots of fun with her. That is not the issue. The problem is that my husband won't let me have any pets of my own. When we met, I had just moved to the town he's in for work. My plan was always to get a pet as soon as possible, and I was finally in a situation where it was realistic. His plan was to get Kira and then have puppies from her when she was older, and keep one of the puppies. He believes that because Kira got here just after we met, and his plan was already in effect, he has a grandfather clause that trumps my lifelong dream of having my own pet. Essentially, he's saying that he beat me to it. He got a dog first, so now I cannot get one. He refuses to have any more dogs in the house. He will not allow another dog unless it's Kira and one of her puppies. My argument is that we both had a grandfather clause in place. That my dream and my plan was to have a pet as soon as possible. I don't think it's right for him to deny me this dream just because he wants to have two of the same dog. He has been open to me getting a cat, but will only allow a cat of a certain gender, age, and color. He is also mildly allergic and wants the cat to mostly live outside if so. Occasionally, I'll show him photos of dogs that I like, and he will shut it down and say that if he were to allow it, it would have to be this breed or that breed instead. I try to explain that we cannot only live his life. We are living in his town. I was meant to stay here temporarily, but he can't move anywhere else. In his house, I moved into the house he already owned with his pet. I feel like he has to compromise and allow me to fulfill this dream of mine as well. I have no problem with him having Kira or one of her puppies, but they are his dogs. He chose the breed, the gender, the color, the training methods, the activities, the equipment, etc. I would like to have a choice as well. We live in a 300 square meter house with a fenced yard, so space is not the issue. We make good money, so finances is not the issue. We have time to walk, train, and play with the dogs, so time is not the issue. We need some outside advice. Do I need to let go of my pet dream and understand we can only have the pets he's chosen because Kira was here first? Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.